Oh, you didn't know? Welcome back to another episode of LTS Wrestling Podcast. It's me. It's that NICC, and it's just me and JoJo here today. What's up, brother?
What's up? Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How you doing?
Oh man, I'm good. I'm good. How you been, bro?
Ah, man, just recovering from WrestleMania still.
I
A little
bet.
mania hangover, if I might call it that. But yeah, we're here. We gotta still cover a little bit more post Mania, specifically on Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. So we're gonna kick it off here. A little bit of Monday Night Raw after Mania, which tends to be one of like the hotter shows of the year. This was probably one of the best follow-ups in a long time, I would say. So being live, crowd was hot on T-Mobile, and the crowd was just hot from the get-go. So starting off the night, we had John Cena come out, do a little promo, kind of like you know typical heel Cena, pretty much talking about how he's gonna ruin wrestling. Next thing you know, we got his impending opponent for Backlash in St. Louis. Good old Randy Orton comes up from behind and gives him a nice RKO to kind of end that segment. Kind of looking forward to this, man. Just because it's kind of like that, long term storytelling in the sense that their rivalry has kind of existed for almost 20 years, if you think about it, right?
Yep, it sure has.
Yeah, so and obviously for you, I know you're like one of the biggest Randy Orton fans out there. So,
Dude, I was a
yeah,
huge Randy Orton fan, especially in his Viper days when
uh
he
huh,
when he was full heel. Even really enjoyed him when he came out as the young boy Randy when he had the whole um the gold what you call that, like the
oh, the
sparkles coming down.
showers, yeah.
Yeah, dude, like I bro, that entrance music was awesome. I know he didn't really like it, but I love that entrance music.
Kind of had like the spiky tips,
Yeah,
like the
yes he
gelled
did.
hair
Yep, yes he
back in
did,
the
yes he
day.
did, dude. And yeah,
Oh man,
yeah, man, that was I loved him in that era. I mean, I know he didn't really like it, but I don't know, I was a Randy Mark back then.
dude, it's kind of funny to see how these guys have progressed in their like physique, because it's like back in the day, it's like kind of flipped, right? Cena was like a little bit more swole, Randy is a little bit more like shredded and thin.
Yes,
But now it's kind of like the opposite. Clearly Cena's doing a lot of movies. He's toned down a bit, and then Randy's like, good lord, probably 300 plus pounds of like pure beef now.
easy, yeah, easy, easy.
Yeah. So, definitely looking forward to this rivalry. Obviously a great way to kind of kick things off for Cena, like post Mania. Outside of that, we had the Women's Tag Team Championship rematch here from Mania Night 2. So Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez versus Becky Lynch and Lyra Valkyria, which was kind of a big shocker for me. It was kind of a nice surprise. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez retaining. So now they're 4-time women's champions. And at the end of this match, big swerve from the get-go here. Becky Lynch turning on Lyra Valkyria. So kind of like tying it into the story of why Bayley was replaced here, it now makes a lot more sense. And I know we're kind of talking about how I guess I'll speak for everybody here. We're a little bit upset at that Bayley got pulled off from the Mania card, but in hindsight, now it makes a lot of sense seeing that Becky Lynch actually is integral into this whole Lyra feud that they're basically going to start here. And, Becky coming back now as a heel, I think, it's kind of almost like, do we kind of see some sort of alliance, or not necessarily alliance, but something leading to Becky possibly joining Seth here and Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker for that matter? What do you think?
Okay, so like you were talking about, right? We were kind of disappointed on Bailey not being a part of WrestleMania, not being a part of this match. Especially because Bailey's she's one of those wrestlers, dude. She puts out every match that she's in. You know, she always has good matches. I mean, she'll have okay matches, but seldomly do I ever remember her having like bad matches. You know what I mean? And I was kind of excited to see her at Mania. And like I said on one of our previous podcasts that the pop was nice. It was nice to see Becky back, but I wish I remember I even called it that. Oh, what if Bailey goes heel on like I think it was our WrestleMania
Yeah,
predictions.
yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, what if Bailey goes heel against Lyra, and that's kind of exactly what they're doing with Becky, and I kind of still wish it was. I kind of still wish it was Bailey.
Okay.
I think they could have brought in Becky to do something else. I don't know if Becky was needed for this angle. There has to be a reason why they put Becky in this specific spot, right? I'm not too
Yeah.
sure, but
Yeah.
I mean, we'll just see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. It's at this point, if they're gonna do a Becky and Lyra. I hope that Becky elevates Lyra more than just takes her title and squashes her. Like we were talking about, they're within those years, like Becky, um, Bailey, Charlotte, where they're in those years where they should be elevating younger superstars. You know what I mean? Like they're in that position already where they're technically the OGs of the women's division. So I don't mind if they do a series for them, like do a couple of matches between Becky and Lyra. Just I hope Becky elevates Lyra because Lyra could use it. Honestly, she's kind of dry with the crowd and she's not really getting over on TV. Personally, like in my eyes, when I watch her, she's okay. She's a good wrestler. Just she's missing the sauce, but she'll be all right. I think it'll be okay. But I like I said, I wish it was Bailey.
You think Becky might join her husband at some point now that she's heel?
No, I don't think so. I think they're gonna stay as is. I think it's better
Okay.
for them to stay separate. I think if Becky ends up joining, Seth Rollins, Bron Breakker, and Paul Heyman, I think that's hard to say. That's hard to say because the one part I'm not worried about Seth in that situation. The part I'm worried about is Breakker because already Seth and Becky will have a dynamic, right? But I'm at this point in that stable, I'm not worried, but I'm more interested in seeing the kind of relationship that Seth Rollins and Bron Breakker will build. Seeing what they're gonna do with Paul Heyman, if they're even gonna work as a stable, and then I mean down the line, I guess if Braun and Seth work out as far as a stable, why not bring in one more person and make it like a 4-man stable with Paul Heyman or something like that. And then I don't know what you would call them, but yeah, I would say if you're gonna do that, maybe have Becky come in down the road. Don't have her come in now. Give the Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins stable time to heat up a little bit.
It's gonna be the Dangerous Alliance 2.0 here,
bro. That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah, that'd be cool.
And you got to remember too, they did have a female in that group, good old Medusa back in the day.
Oh no, you're right. You are right. Yeah,
it'll be kind of interesting to kind of see like a reincarnation of something similar to that. But outside of that, I will add, I think the good part of Becky actually being integrated into this picture is because to kind of add on to what you were saying about Lyra being kind of a little, I would say a little flat in terms of her fan appeal. It kind of elevates not just her, but also that Intercontinental title, only because it's almost seemingly, how should I say, the timing of the Intercontinental title and the U.S. title. It seems like the U.S. title had a lot more relevance than the IC title did, since they both were introduced into the women's division.
No, yeah, it does.
And so, like I think having Becky kind of integrated into this, with her star power, there's a good chance that IC title is gonna be a little bit more relevant here, as far as a mid card title. So I I do see that happening, and I do kind of like that part of it. But yeah, kind of going back to what we said earlier, sucks that Bailey had to be kind of like at the on the back end of all of this, and everything was kind of like put to the forefront with her almost seemingly pushed aside.
Yep.
But nonetheless, I'm hoping at least sometime down the road, now it's kind of evident now, like, oh, okay, who attacked Bailey? Clearly, it had to be Becky.
Has to be Becky. Has to be Becky.
There's got to be a feud down the road with those two as well, which
Right.
I wouldn't
Right.
mind seeing at all.
Yeah. And hey,
Yep.
uh all said and done with that women's tag team championship match, I was actually kind of happy to see Liv and Raquel regain the championship. I'm actually kind of for that. They do a good job holding that tag team championship.
Yeah, I see something else down the line with those two. Like, eventually, hopefully by the time, if it's rumored to be true that they are having the all women's PLE, it'll be great to kind of see them go up against like a top tier team. Who
Oh yeah.
depending who that's going to be down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, following the women's tag team championship match, we had a nice return here. Obviously, the rumors swirling around. One of the impending returns ended up being good old Rusev, also known as Miro, when he was during his time with AEW. So he actually made a surprise return during a little segment between the New Day and Alpha Academy, where New Day basically answered like a challenge between themselves and Alpha Academy, only to be interrupted by Rusev. Um, the ring got cleared out by New Day cleared out, left the ring, and Rusev was left to pretty much take out Alpha Academy. So here they kind of used him almost similar to I don't know if you recall back when Braun Strowman returned, kind of taking out all the tag. Like, I guess there were like a bunch of tag teams in the ring, and then just out of nowhere, Braun Strowman's music hit. So it was similar to that type of return where they just took out like all the different tag teams. In this case, Rusev took out Alpha Academy, which it's kind of bittersweet, only because like, yeah, it was nice to see him return, but at the same time, like, at the expense again of the tag team division, which I've been very critical about on the main roster. So it makes the tag team division seem a little bit more of an afterthought when you have one person like Rusev destroying them, for that matter. Well, what are your thoughts on that segment?
I was happy to see Miro come back, or Rusev. I was happy to see Rusev. I was happy to hear some of the crowd chanting Rusev Day. I wish they would have gave him a bigger pop. I'll be honest, like, the crowd didn't do him justice. I wish they would have gave Rusev a bigger pop.
It was pretty loud for him though.
No,
Being
yeah,
there.
it was. You
It was
could
pretty
hear it.
loud for him.
You could hear it. You could hear it. I wish the crowd was a little louder, but yeah, I mean, so after he took out Alpha Academy, I was like, oh man, and how you brought up Braun Strowman destroying all the tag teams and all that stuff. I get what they were trying to do there. I just wish they would have like gave him a solid opponent, as in, okay, this is the guy we're gonna be putting you in a program with. Come out, make your statement, And bro, Rusev was hype, and I was hyped too. I was excited to see Rusev back.
Dude looks
I'm glad
good,
he's back.
man.
No, he looks good, dude.
Yeah.
He looks good. And you know what? Bring Lana back too. Give her the Russian accent again, and bring Lana back.
I was reading that she did sign a Legends contract, so maybe she will make some cameos, but I don't think she's entirely back as a full time.
Yeah, because if she does a
superstar.
if she's doing a Legends contract, then she's not gonna be on.
Yeah, so it sounds like it's gonna be for like merch and video games and such. But yeah, like, so following that, we had the women's world champion Io Sky came out to do kind of like a little promo in the ring. She gave like a nice speech. Crowd was cheering for her, and granted, she deserved it. She deserves the flowers here. And we got a little surprise from NXT, the NXT Women's Champion Stephanie Vaquer, La Primera, showing up as a surprise opponent, which was a nice treat for everybody in the crowd that night. Just because, like, again, we were seeing two top tier talent, specifically in the women's division, go one-on-one. I thought they put on a really great match. Obviously, the match ended in a disqualification due to outside interference from Roxanne Perez and Julia, for that matter. But then we also got to see Rhea Ripley show up to kind of help out Io Sky. Had a little stare down with Julia, which was kind of like a nice tease or a little foreshadowing for potential future matchup. But outside of that, I thought this was a great showcase for both women. We didn't have a clear cut winner, but I'm okay with that, just because like, I don't think these two, as hot as they are now at their in their current division, like giving one or the other like a actual L due to like a pin or submission, probably wouldn't really do much to their momentum, but still would have not been like they came off like a nice weekend, winning their matches. And I think this was a great way to end the match, just because of how it kind of ties into like their other feuds going on. What do you think?
So first off, how we get 2 nights in a row back to back where the women's match is the best match of the night?
You know what? There's a common factor, right? Io Sky.
But you know what I mean?
Sky.
But you gotta give Stephanie Vacquer her flowers too, though.
Stephanie kills it, yeah.
She killed it with Io. She killed it with Io. She killed it,
Yeah.
bro. That match was the match of the night for Raw. It was such a good match, and
easy.
Yeah, easy, like super easy to call that one as the match of the night. It was so good, and I'm so glad that the women's division is in the spot it's in now, where it's not just slap fights and you know what I mean, like fake hitting, and it's just it's so good, dude. I really really enjoy watching the women's division. They have such great wrestlers right now. Julia and Roxanne coming out together. I was like, oh, okay, here we go.
I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming either. Not both of them together. You know what I mean? Like, okay, like I could see Julia coming out because she still has this thing with Stephanie Vacquer, right? Yeah, yep. I can see Julia coming out, but Roxanne coming out too. I mean, I guess they're slowly trying to integrate especially Roxanne right into the main roster. I hope she makes like her full main roster debut, like, or they just keep her up in main roster already, because I think honestly, I think she's ready. She's good on NXT. She's good on NXT already. Like,
yeah,
they don't need her
nothing
down
else
there anymore.
Nothing else to achieve out there.
Yeah, nothing else to really do down there. So bring her up to the main roster already. She's so good. And yeah, that was a good match. That was a good match overall. I can't complain. And then what was it? They had, when she was doing the whole knee thing, bro.
The devil's kiss.
Yeah. It didn't feel right without
Booker T.
Yeah, without Booker T there having his little seizures and orgasms in the corner.
Yeah, well, Booker, man. I think the crowd served him justice and kind of like did it on his behalf. We've been doing it on his behalf for a minute now.
Yeah. Right, a good match. It was a really good match.
Yeah, definitely nice showing for the women's champions, both women's champions too, for that matter. And speaking about champions, so we had good old Jey Uso come out, and he was kind of very similar to Io Sky. Came out, hit a promo with the crowd post Mania, and kind of like spoke on his win. And then we got a nice surprise from Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn came out, kind of like said some words talking about how Jey deserved it. And I kind of like this segment just because, at first, like there was a little bit of that celebration going on, and then, how the camera angle hit.
Bro,
Sammy was kind of like eyeing him. We're like, oh, what's happening? So nice tease over there, but you could almost kind of see like that was foreshadowing for, for sure, towards something in the future. But at the same time, Jimmy comes out to kind of join the celebration. So it's just kind of nice seeing all three of them, like celebrating, being part of like the OG bloodline, and those three having like a very very tight knit on screen dynamic. So nice celebration on that part.
And like you pointed out too, right? When they were going to the back, I had that like really quick segment where they were all spinning off towards the back, and then Jimmy kind of gave that
right.
look.
Yeah. Did they actually show that on TV? Because I sent that clip through text. And
Yes,
I was
yes,
like,
you said
something
yes.
I noticed when they were like exiting to the back.
If they did show it on TV, it's not something I noticed. I only seen it because you sent us that video from that angle. Like,
right.
I would have to go back and watch it again, but it's something I didn't notice.
Okay. Yeah,
but that Sami Zayn one though, I legit thought that freaking he was gonna turn on Jay.
Well, dude, the crowd we were just like, no, like, cause we saw it, we were like, oh no, he's about to attack him, but oh, thank God, it didn't happen, because it was just like, oh man, what a damper on the the whole moment. But I actually wouldn't be surprised if down the road they kind of cross paths.
I wouldn't be surprised
for that world title. But leading into the next segment, obviously, we had Gunther come out, pissed off Gunther, come out and confront the announce team, and big old Gunther being a bully to Michael Cole, and kind of put him in the spot here, attempted his choke, and then we saw good old Pat McAfee come to Michael Cole's defense here, which eventually led to Gunther choking him out, taking him out, and security and chaos kind of ensued. I believe Pat McAfee's boys jumped the barricade, and saw like a bunch of securities trying to stop them or hold them back. This whole segment was kind of like interesting. I'll say it was kind of interesting because I'm not sure exactly where they're going with it. Granted, the same time, I don't know if Gunther is like possibly going to start a new feud with somebody else. I don't know if it's with McAfee related or whatnot, but for some reason I would have thought like at least Gunther and Jay would probably run it back. I don't know, maybe that's something going to happen like in the next few weeks, because apparently Gunther got suspended from this whole situation. What do you think?
I think they were saying that Gunther was going to take some time off, so that's why why they ran this whole storyline. But you know what? For that segment, dude, when Pat McAfee jumped in, I was like, "Oh, let's go!" I was like, "Oh, I'm down to see a Gunther versus Pat McAfee match." I'm not too familiar with Pat McAfee outside of the WWE, because I know he has his own sports show, right, for football.
Yeah, he has his main. It's kind of like a show / well, I think it's a podcast.
Okay.
But it's I believe he's signed with, I believe, Fox, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Nonetheless, he that's his kind of like outside ventures in addition to college football.
Right. Okay, so I'm assuming the guys that jumped in were like former teammates or something.
Those are the podcast guys.
Oh, okay, okay.
The guy's part of his show.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. I know because it was like all heat of the moment, and the ring announcers were the actual people in the segment, right? So like there was nobody there to explain it. But while the incident was happening, or the segment was happening, I was like, who are these guys like all jumping in? Like I had no clue who these guys were. I was like, oh, are these just guys from the crowd, or is just like do they have some kind of significance to Pat McAfee?
Some people are like, oh, I think fans jumped the barricade. I'm like,
that's what I thought too. That's what I thought.
And then like when I finally saw the footage, I was like, oh wait, no, that's his boys.
Yeah. No, it only kind of clicked that was like his crew or something. When they did like replays of it, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's gotta be his boys from whatever kind of venture he does outside of WWE. I also, hey, Pat McAfee played it off pretty good. The whole choking and on the way out of the arena to get medical help and everything. And And I know we've talked about this before, like how we love the new camera work with how WWE is doing that camera work right now. That whole segment with Michael Cole talking to Adam Pearce in the back, talking about like, oh, I'm not gonna let this guy go, dude, and then following him out to the ring, like, bro, that was so cinematic. I loved it. Like that was really cinematic. That was a good way of like trying to not really break the cave, but keep it in kayfabe, and like try to give it that whole realistic feel to it. I love that segment. That was really good. And then, but yeah, I thought it was a good segment. If they had to get Gunther off TV, hey, what a way to get him off TV, just by suspending him and not having some kind of kayfabe injury like everybody else does. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, that part I didn't know. So actually, that makes sense too. Then, but yeah, to kind of add on to like the whole Michael Cole thing, kudos to him. Hands down, in my opinion, probably probably the best ring announcer at the moment. The guy, since I would say the initial beginnings of the Triple H era, it seems like he's been having so much more fun, but at the same time, a lot more like freedom on the mic, so to speak, because I like the realism of how he kind of takes that journalistic approach, and at the same time, he's here. Like you said, like it's almost like breaking kayfabe, but at the same time, he's still kind of, keeping it in character, right? So it just gives a little bit more authenticity. At the end of the day, it's just like he's being able to speak from his own voice versus somebody in his ear. So you could definitely tell how different it is now versus how it was back then.
Yeah,
when it was kind of like Vince at the helm.
Yeah, I think there was an interview. I think Michael Cole was doing an interview somewhere, and he did speak on that. He spoke on like how it's a little more lax with how they do the announcing and everything. I think they kind of they have a little more trust. Of course, they're still in his ear, but whoever's in Gorilla, probably Triple H or maybe the production, whoever is still in his ear, but he said by far and away, compared to when Vince was there, like it's a night and day difference, and you can tell 100% by the way that he does the commentary and everything. You could tell 100% that he's like he is having fun with it, that he's saying it how he wants to say it, and it's kind of more genuine than when Vince would be prattling off in his ear. You know what I mean?
For sure. Yeah. And let's see here what happened after that. Oh, we had the newly crowned Intercontinental Champion, Dirty Dom, defending his actual first title defense against Penta. So this was actually a nice match between the two. Kind of like doing a little bit of like the lucha style here. But gosh, yeah, I'll just say from the get go here, the crowd is kind of turning a little bit to, kind of like taking a liking to Dominik Mysterio. So it'd be kind of interesting to see what happens with him over the next few months, just because this could potentially turn him face, baby face here. But outside of that, you do also see a little bit of that tension between him and Finn Balor within Judgment Day. Nonetheless, the result of the match, Dominik Mysterio came up, winning this match with the return of JD McDonough. He's been out for a few months now since his injury. So good to see him back on TV. Nice to see it knowing that he's also well. But yeah, like they had a little celebration down the walkway towards the end of the match, and you could tell there's a little bit of little tension there between Dom or not just Dom, but I would say like Judgment Day and Finn Balor. So yeah, it's kind of teasing a little bit of like a split there. It'd be interesting to see who actually ends up being the babyface and who's the heel out of this.
No, that was perfect, bro. Like JD trying to pull in Finn, telling him, come on, dude, get in with the group. And then Finn just looking at them, like looking back and yeah, a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of animosity. I'm here for it. As far as the match went, dude, you know what? Okay, so this is the first match that I've seen Dominic that aggressive, and I can't remember when. He was
Mm-hmm.
really aggressive this match. Normally, he plays the fragile little boy kind of character.
Type of heel, right?
Yeah. But dude, he was aggressive this
Yeah.
match,
So
and
I'm just kind of thinking like this could be a little bit of transition here for him.
yeah, and I'm wondering if like Triple H in the back was telling him, okay, you know what? Now that we got you over with the crowd, the crowd is loving you. Let's run
Mm-hmm.
with this, and I think it's finally time to take off the shackles. Let's run with it. Now really wrestle. You know what I mean? Like be
Mm-hmm.
aggressive. Let's see what we can do with you. And I enjoyed Dominic being aggressive. Like it was good. He should be more aggressive more often. Like
Yeah.
I like that he's actually wrestling now. And
Yeah.
because he's got it in the character department. He's good already. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And now he just show out in the ring and of course Penta never fails, right? Penta, he's
Mm-hmm.
always shows out. So between both of them, that was really good. I was really surprised to see JD come back. And that was kind of fast because JD's only been out, a couple of months, and we expected him to be out a little bit longer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I was happy to see JD come back. Adds another dynamic to the whole story with Finn Balor.
Mm-hmm.
And even more so because JD was celebrating with the Judgment Day, and JD and Finn is supposed to be like really good friends, right?
They typically are joined at the hip.
Right.
Typically. So yeah.
Right. So it's like, ooh. So let's see
Yeah,
where
it's
this
a
goes from here.
plot twist, right?
Yes.
It'll be
Yes.
kind of interesting to see how it goes. And I will say this, yeah, like, hey, kudos to Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom. Dirty
Dirty
Dom.
Dom.
Dirty
Dirty
Dom.
Dom.
Dirty
Dirty
Dom.
Dom. No, I love
Yeah,
Dirty
man.
Dom. I love Dirty Dom.
He's come a long way.
He has.
He's come a long way. I have to give him his flowers. The dude has been a genuinely hated heel for the very most part of his tenure with Judgment Day, but that day at Mania, it was just it was just a nice moment for him. Granted, him being the only Mysterio on the whole Mania weekend for that matter, so he showed out, represented that name very well, and he definitely won the crowd over. So kudos to him, and definitely wish him the best of luck, as a IC champion, and in his future championships that he may win down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking about the IC title, right? So the way the show ended, we saw the end cap off with good old Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman, kind of opening up their little segment, trying to shoot a little bit on the mic, but then next thing you know, that got shortly interrupted by CM Punk, only soon to be followed by the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, and then the surprise out of this mix, the former IC champ, Bron Breakker, coming to the aid of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. So here we are seeing a new faction under the tutelage of Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman. Bron Breakker joining this group here. I believe there was a few months ago with a little segment that Paul Heyman kind of teased, right? That Bron Breakker he was kind of one of the guys that he would want to take under his wing and eventually make him a Paul Heyman guy. So now that Braun has lost that IC title, it's pretty obvious that he's now going to be part of the main event picture, whether it's for a title or not. It just seems like now that you're aligned with the likes of Paul Heyman, Seth Rollins, feuding with people like CM Punk and Roman Reigns, you're in the main event now. You're on that level with these upper echelon of superstars. So Bron Breakker is here, and I'll throw this out there, man. Remember we were talking about the Slammies and breakout superstar. This is one of the reasons why I thought Braun was the like he didn't win the award, but I truly believe this the reason why he was breakout superstar of the year was because he was ready to be part of this upper echelon group of superstars. But
Oh,
what's your thoughts?
bro, I 100% agree with you. Um, and now that I think about it, because at the end of that, they had Seth, Bron, and Paul. They're holding their arms up and everything. What if they add one more guy to this table? Make this
I
another.
think they do.
Make this
I
an
think they do.
Evolution 2.0, bro. Evolution
Mhm.
2.0. Seth as your main guy, Triple H. You got Paul Heyman as your Ric Flair, your OG, and then you got your big muscle up and comer, Bron Breakker as Batista, and all you need is another young up and comer.
You want me to throw a name?
Throw out a name, bro. I honestly I don't have anybody to think about right now, but I think if they added one more guy, it would be great. Go ahead, throw out a name.
Austin Theory.
Oh shit! Why not?
Austin Theory.
Hey, I'd take it.
Yeah. I think if we need to get Austin Theory going again, this is the way to do it. Add him into that group as a fourth man.
Oh,
there you go.
Can you imagine that segment?
Oh man,
can you imagine this?
Just talking about those names, man. I'm for it.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that segment where, like, let's say, A-Town Down Under is in the ring, cutting a promo, and then here comes Seth Breakker, and Paul Heyman, and then they're just talking about something, whatever, and then A-Town turns his back. Oh, dude.
Yep.
That'd be so cool.
Yeah, just turned on Grayson, right?
Yeah, dude. I think that would be a fire stable.
I wouldn't mind. Actually, I actually wouldn't mind if they did put both of them in the stable. The only problem with that, though, is that I just see more Austin being more, I guess, intertwined with that group.
Yeah.
It kind of like personality wise.
Yeah.
I feel like Grayson would be the sore thumb. Like he would be very.
I do as well.
Very noticeable.
Yeah,
like
I do as well. Here. I do as well. I feel like. Yeah, I feel like it would just have to be four of them. Great. Yeah, Grayson. I don't think Grayson Waller would fit in that. That group. And Austin Theory, I think it's time to get him moving. He's paid his dues, bro. He's done what he had to do to keep himself relevant and keep his career while he's within the WWE. Whether it be talking crap at an event, or doing a spot on Raw, or even going down to NXT with Grayson Waller. He did his job, bro, and you know what I mean? A lot of people didn't like him, me included, when Vince was still here, when he was getting shoved down our throat.
Force fed. Yep.
Yeah, he was getting the Roman Reigns treatment, you know what I mean? And I didn't like that, but yeah, I think him with them too. I think that'd be a dope stable. That'd be a dope stable.
Yeah, I think it'll do, it'll do justice for his career. Just because if we're really gonna look at him as kind of like the next thing, I'm not gonna say he's the next Cena, but I know he was being almost slightly compared to Cena, like his early years.
Well, he has that build, right? Like kind of like Cena.
Very much so. Yeah, and he definitely has that look. He's not too bad on the mic, but at the same time, he's been kind of like a sideshow act with Grayson as far as like this comedic tag team. You know what I mean? So to kind of see him more in a serious role, or in a serious faction for that matter, I think it would actually push him to that next level.
I think it would too. And you know what? And having Bron just manhandle Roman. You know what I mean? It added to the legitimacy of Bron Breakker being put into the main event scene. Yeah, it was perfect. The way they set that up, and I'm pretty sure Paul Heyman had a hand in setting that whole thing up. Bro, I'll be honest, I didn't even expect to see Roman Reigns on Raw. That was a surprise to me.
Same. same. Because
I
they pulled the whole like Marvel thing at the end, right? They pulled the
right.
credits up, from
Yep.
my understanding,
Yeah, they did. They did. They
and
did.
then next thing you know, it OTC music hit, and
Yep.
we're like, oh shoot, like because
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you this, like from being in the arena, a lot of us are not necessarily us, but you could already see people like leaving for that matter. But then next thing you know, it Roman's music hits, and then everybody just kind of turns
Everybody's came
around,
flooding
and
back, huh?
it's like, oh, let's hey, wait, Roman Reigns here, So yeah, like clearly not the ending we expected.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah, it was a great Mania. I'm sorry, Raw after Mania. I would say probably one of the better ones. The only other one I've actually been to was the one after Mania 39, which was in the Crypto Arena. And dude, that was garbage. It was probably like one of the worst, worst Manias after. I'm sorry, Raws after Mania, for that matter. So this was a great way to kind of like, I feel like, redeem myself from a Raw after Mania type of event. But nonetheless, the following night, NXT actually had their show at the Fontainebleau. So we're just quick recap here. From NXT, they actually had the women's tag team champions Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defend them against Gigi Dolan and Tatum Paxley, who were the winners of that tag team fatal four way over from Stand and Deliver over the weekend. Uh, in this case, Liv and Raquel retained their titles. Not too bad of a match here. Then we had Lexis King with his Heritage Cup title against the return of Noam Dar, which Noam Dar actually defeated Lexis King to retain the Heritage Cup. And then there was a match between Thea Hill defeating Fallon Henley. So the Fatal Influence group between Fallon Henley and I believe JC Jane, and I forgot who the third girls from that group, but there's kind of like a little dissension happening between those three here from what I remember. And then there was a segment between Obafemi and Trick Williams, and we had a little surprise from the TNA World Champion Joe Hendry coming in to confront both of them, primarily Obafemi, I guess expressing his interest in going after the NXT Championship. But that little segment showed the scuffle between all three of them. And actually, in this case, Joe Hendry and Oba kind of teaming up to clear out the ring of Trick Williams here. So this kind of showing Trick is actually kind of like showing more signs of him being a heel now. So the I would say that segment, following that segment, we had Osiris Griffin and Dion Lennox from Dark State defeating Javon Evans and Miles Bourne, also known as Baby Orton, Baby Randy. And the last match of that card was NXT Women's Champion of Stephanie Vacquer defeating Roxanne Perez. And towards the end of that, we saw a little bit of future feuds teased between Julia and potentially Jordan Grace, who are both kind of in the crowds staring at Stephanie Vacquer after she won her match.
I'm here for
So
that.
that, yeah, so it's like typical NXT card, not bad of a showing, I would say, just because it was like post Mania, and at the same time, Stephanie had worked almost like a what is that, double night, right? Double duty, going
Yep.
from Monday Night Raw to NXT back to back here.
I, before we even move on from NXT, I just wanna go out there and say, Osiris Griffin to me is the standout from Dark State. Dude, that guy, he's got the look, bro. He's got the look. I enjoyed watching him wrestle at Stand and Deliver.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. Um, yeah, I like. I think that group's kind of good. But Osiris Griffin definitely my standout from that group.
For sure. Yeah, like for me, I'm still getting acclimated to this new group.
Same.
Obviously, like, still too early to tell, but I'll be optimistic. I'll be hopeful. Like, it almost seems like almost anything from NXT at this point seems to be doing well. Especially the transitions from NXT to, I would say, the main roster for that matter. So, kind of segueing from NXT, unless I don't know if you want to add anything else to NXT here.
No, let's
Oh,
move.
okay. So fair enough. Segueing into SmackDown, we had the first SmackDown post WrestleMania here, and very similar to Monday Night Raw. They opened up the show with Cena doing a promo, and then having Randy Orton kind of join that segment, a little bit back and forth here. Same result, kind of Cena trying to get one over on Randy, and Randy being able to do the RKO on him. I think this is kind of like when they officially announced the match between those two for Backlash. So we kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, talking about how looking forward to that great great feud dating back since like almost like 25 years ago.
I think that specific promo, I think that was made more for the older wrestling fans. The just what they were cutting the promos about Cena not having kids, and how Cena was like, I haven't had kids because I was too busy raising yours, and um Cena getting under Randy's skin, and then I don't just the whole thing. It felt like that was directed more towards the older wrestling fans, and I'm not talking like older as in like our. I mean, yeah, of course, our age, but I'm talking about like fans that have been around for their whole career. I felt like it was more for us as older wrestling fans, as people who have been there, to see the parallels of their career and how often they fought, and you know what I mean, just to see them their different evolutions. And I feel like they were directing it towards us. um I thought it was funny when he called out the little kid that flipped him off. I was like, that was hilarious. You know what? The longer Cena's heel, the better it is. I will say that Cena may have to do a little bit of tweaking on his heel. I feel like sometimes it feels a little forced. But outside of that, I'm kind of enjoying this Cena heel run.
He comes off as a old man yelling at clouds
It
sometimes.
does. He does. He
Yeah,
does.
but yeah, nonetheless, it is funny. You know, at the same time, there's a lot of like almost it was like there's a lot of truth to the things he's bantering about.
Yes.
You know, specifically how kind of dating back to the fact that he addresses how we cheer Cody and then we boo Cody. Like, and then we want, it's just like we do that to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
You say you cheer Cena, but then Cena sucks. It really is the whole truth of the IWC, right? How fickle we can be. Roman
Okay.
even talked about this
Yeah.
a while back too, right? How fickle the fan base can be. But yes, we are entitled to cheer and boo whoever we want. But at the end of the day, it's almost telling how instant gratification and how short of a times, I guess, attention span most fans have these days, right? It's almost like they can't sustain the loyalty factor in a sense where they want things to sway the way they want it as opposed to letting it play out. So, and it's just funny because at the end of the day, we're getting called out on this. As much as we hate to hear it, it's actual truth.
It's the truth, bro, and the fans know it, and that's why they cheer for it, because they know it. The the
Right.
the, the wrestling fan base, where when things are going the way we want it to, we're very loyal to you. When you're trying to be a heel, in 90% of the case, we'll boo you. You know what I mean? Like, but then once you turn face, we're very forgiving. Um,
Right.
but be even before we even move on for this, so podcast, long term storytelling, bro. So one of the things I've been thinking about with Cena's heel turn is he's really been trying to drive home the fact that he's the last real champion. It's a really bold claim, considering that you have Randy Orton right there in front of you, somebody who literally came up with you, right? So it's tough to say that you're the last real champion. And Cena's talking about taking that title home and totally erasing it from WWE. And I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, is WWE actually going to go through with this and then just make a whole brand new title?
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
It's a nice heel thing to talk about, but there's no way in hell they'll do that. You can't just erase history like that. You can't.
What if
it's like if you do, you might as well start a whole new company. You know what I mean? Like that is like one of the most audacious things I can probably think of, just because it's like, how do you, or who makes you the one person to call that entirely erase history?
That's what I've been trying to. That's what I've been trying to reason with myself.
As great as you are, like you don't have that kind of power. You know what I mean?
That's what I've been trying to reason with myself. It's one of those things I've been reasoning with myself in my head about that. It's like, okay, you say you're gonna take the title home, sure, but when you look at the rules and everything, if you're gonna retire with it, who's to say WWE is just not gonna be like, well, you're retired, we're vacating it. We don't care if you take that title home, take it. We'll just bring out another one and it'll be the exact same one. Nobody will know. You know what I mean? It's just like one of those things where they could add that into the storyline. Or they just
create a new, like they'll create a new version of it. Like how they've done in the past.
And still say it's a WWE title. You know what I mean? Or the Universal Championship or.
Right.
I don't know. It's one of those things because he keeps driving it home when he's doing his promos. And the more he drives it home, the more it makes you wonder. And I'm pretty sure this is the effect that they've been trying to get, is to make people wonder, oh, is this really a possibility that Cena could take this title home, and what are the implications of that? And
I think it puts emphasis on how serious he means it, but at the same time, it's going to have that, you know, kind of that opposite effect of when somebody actually takes it off of him.
Right.
It's going to be like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh, thank God he won it, because Lord knows we wouldn't want him to just leave into retirement with the title and not have anything for the rest of the company. You know what I mean?
You know, and I was hoping it was gonna be, because I think that's how it's gonna end too. I think it's gonna end. They're gonna go down to the last days of John Cena, and then somebody's gonna take it off him at the last moment.
Oh, for sure.
And I was hoping that it would be. I was hoping it would have been Randy, but they apparently are putting them two up against each other right now.
Yeah.
So I'm just hoping it's not Cody. I'm a Cody fan.
I wouldn't be mad if it was Cody. I wouldn't be mad, but yeah, at the same time, it would be nice if, I think Jay said this, you know, shout out to Jay on this part, you know, it would be nice to see Cena actually put somebody else over.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like especially up and comer. You know what I mean? So yeah, like if that was the case, like if he has to drop the title, make it somebody that needs it, as opposed to somebody that's already had it.
Yep, I agree.
So, but I forgot. I totally forgot about this part. You know, one of the funniest segments or funniest moments of Raw was when Cena was cutting his promo, and the whole crowd was chanting, "We're sorry." That part was just so hilarious.
Yeah,
I forgot what Cena said, and then the rest of us were just like, "We are sorry."
Yeah. That was hilarious.
It was so hilarious,
bro. I never thought I'd hear the crowd say that to a wrestler.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, clearly, you know, we're at the feet of John Cena here, chanting something like that.
That was straight trolling John Cena,
big time.
Regardless, it was hilarious. I was laughing when they were doing that.
It was funny. Hilarious. It was funny. So, you know, continue on with SmackDown. You know, talking about like NXT call-ups. Here we go. First team that we saw called up from NXT, good old Fraxium, had a tag team match with Los Garza. Like I said, Fraxium being probably my favorite tag team in professional wrestling right now having an opportunity to showcase themselves on the main roster. So I just hope, thank goodness it is on SmackDown, because if there's any brand that has the stronger tag team division, yeah, I would say SmackDown has them. I think they'll fall right in. I can't wait to see their matches against like DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Street Profits, you name them. I think they're in the right brand for the tag team division. But I have very high hopes for these two. I hope they get treated well and in terms of, their run as a tag team. So, any thoughts on this?
Yeah,
This
you know
call up?
what? Yeah, no, this is a good one. I'm glad they came to the main roster. Um, you could tell they were excited. Oh, they were straight high speed, low drag. Like I
Hmm.
mean, they were moving. And shout out to Los Garza, bro. They made them look good. They made them look good.
Yeah,
I feel kind of bad for them though, because they've been taking some L's, bro. You know what I mean? Like
I know.
they've been taking a lot of L's, but they made Fraxium look really good, and you could tell Fraxium was they were excited to be on Raw because I mean they were going
SmackDown, SmackDown.
yeah, oh yeah, sorry, yeah, SmackDown, yeah,
I don't think they would have been happy on Raw.
yeah, 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 they bro, they were going full speed, like I mean full speed. They were running full gas. I was like, oh man, these guys they better slow down before they get hurt. But yeah,
Yeah,
no, it
that's
was a
their
good
style,
match.
though.
Yeah, no,
There's their style
it
is
is,
spot fists, but
yeah.
yeah, these are so talented. Two very talented guys.
They
I would
are.
say Nathan Frazier. Not to say that Axiom is not capable, but I think Frazier out of the two clearly has a potentially a bright future as a single superstar as well.
I think
I'll say
so.
that.
I
Yeah,
feel like he has staying power.
for sure, for sure. And then following that, we had Tiffany Stratton. Kind of cut a little promo on her end, right? And then next thing you know, Jay Cargill shows up. So this was kind of a nice change of pace here, just to kind of see a little different matchup for that matter. But Jade kind of coming in now, kind of claiming her own, I guess, stake at the women's WWE women's title. So they had like a kind of like an impromptu match, but this was no contest with the interference of Naomi, and then followed by Naomi, Nia Jax taking out Tiffany Stratton. So kind of like a rivalry renewed here. Um, I I mentioned this in a couple of podcasts. I thought Naomi and Jade wasn't going to end at Mania. So we saw it here. This is clearly a continuation of their actual rivalry. And then Nia Jax making her return to take out Tiffany Stratton, which was kind of nice because I felt like that feud kind of was kind of short lived prior to Tiffany's feud with Charlotte Flair. So here's a little bit of long term storytelling between those two, for that matter. So I'm assuming Tiffany's next feud will align herself against Nia Jax, and we'll continue to see Jade and Naomi duke it out. And in my opinion, still kind of going back to the whole Bianca thing. Finally, kind of like looping it back to the fact that Bianca is probably the main reason why Naomi attacked Jade. She was probably the brains behind the whole ordeal.
Hmm.
Thoughts on that?
Pretty good match. Pretty good match. The ending, Naomi. Naomi, don't lose me, Naomi. You're losing me.
I know what you're talking about already. You
Yes.
didn't have to say why. I got a meme
She
coming up for that one too.
I'm looking forward to that one. Bro, but yeah, she lost me on this one. I mean, I'm still watching her to see what she does. I'm hopeful for what she does and that she makes this character work, but that whole tantrum thing you got going down there, not even actually hitting her. And from
uh,
from what I was reading online, people that were there was like, yeah, we were in the stands and we could see that she wasn't really hitting her. It's like, Come on, Naomi. Come on. You can do better than that. And then they had that one segment where she was walking in the back, um, and Nia Jax came up to her and said, Tiffany's
Uh-huh.
mine, just I don't care what you do with Jay, just as long as you stay out of my way. And then Naomi went, as long as you proceed with caution. And when she said caution, she turns and looks at Naomi and kind of snaps at her when she says it and then walks off. I didn't like that. I wish Naomi had just kept the forward stare and just give the, as long as you proceed with caution. And then just walked off. She didn't even have to look at Nia. It would have sent, to me, would have sent a way more impactful message. But I mean, yeah, hey, I'm glad Naya's not in catering anymore. I'm glad to see her back on TV.
I think she was injured. Like I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, why is she off TV?"
Yeah,
From my understanding, she was dealing with the injury, so she
right.
was off
Oh,
TV for a bit.
well, that's good. If she got to deal with her
Yeah,
injury and she's all good now, I'm glad to see her.
yeah.
I'm glad to see her back on TV, bro. And that's something I don't think I would have ever said like 5 years ago, bro. Like she was
Uh-huh.
over here hurting people, but she's really established herself self as
Oh yeah,
one of the locker room leaders. You know what I mean? She's putting in work. She's really good in the
yeah.
ring now.
She's
Um,
a veteran now.
yeah.
She's definitely a
She
veteran.
feels like a veteran now, and
Uh-huh.
that's really good. But yeah, overall, the good segment. Just come on, Naomi, don't lose me yet. Don't lose me. I'm just starting to get with you. I'm just getting on that Naomi train, and you're losing me. Let's go. Come on.
Naomi, proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution.
Oh man. So on top of that, like the next segment here, we got Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu coming out, kind of little quick promo here. Um, Solo opening up this whole session, talking about how he played a big part in I'm sorry, Jacob's success in getting that U.S. title, and then Jacob kind of halted that little speech of Solo's and kind of expressed how he kind of did his thing on his own. Then this whole segment gets interrupted by LA Knight and then Drew McIntyre. So clearly here we saw a little bit of a tease for the United States championship picture here, right? This kind of actually set up a whole match later in the evening, which we'll get to that part. So following this segment, we did have the Women's United States Championship on the line with Zelina Vega versus Chelsea Green. Interesting thing here, I actually did not see this happening, but Zelina Vega became the new women's U.S. title champion. Which, hey, kudos to her. She, like,
Kudos to her.
yeah, Zelina Vega. I'm not gonna pretend I'm like the biggest fan for her, but I'm very happy that she finally won a singles title for that matter. Well deserved. She's put in the work since she's been an active roster, women's roster, or women's wrestler on the roster. I know she's clearly had a good amount of time being a manager for Andrade early on. At the same time, she's been in what is it, LWO? Has she
Mhm.
ever been in a tag team? I'm trying to think. I don't think
I
she's
don't
like
know. I don't think
an
so.
actual tag team, right? No, right? Okay.
I don't think so.
Nonetheless, like I think she finally got that one title. I'll say this, kind of dating back to her match against was it Rhea Ripley at in that backlash that was hosted in Puerto Rico. I thought she had such a great showing, and I felt
She
like
did. She
yeah, like
did.
she was. I think it was that match that made me feel like okay, she's definitely gonna earn a, a singles title down the road, just because she showed out. She shows that she could hold her own, especially against like a competitor like Rhea Ripley. Um, but nonetheless, very happy for her. Chelsea Green. I gotta give her flowers just because she made that title very relevant. She was such a great on-screen persona. I really like this whole gimmick of her, being the first women's United States champion, and her secret Hervis, with Alba Fire and Piper Niven. So, I hope that that group stays together. I don't know how that plays out now that she doesn't have the title, but nonetheless, I thought that was a great little faction that they have amongst those three. Um, any thoughts on this one?
You know what? Honestly, nothing that you haven't already said. I'm actually glad for Zelina Vega. I think she's been hustling a lot in the last couple of years. She deserves this title win. Yeah, you're right. She showed out at that Puerto Rico one. Yeah, she showed out on that match, dude. Her entrance and everything. And I mean, it was just, yeah, she did really good. I think that's when I really started noticing her.
Oh.
I've also been seeing her a lot on social media, as far as like she has a YouTube.
With Dakota Kai, right?
Yep, with
The
Dakota
little
Kai.
podcast.
Yeah. So they just had that one podcast where they were talking about getting signed with WWE and all that. And then I've been seeing her on social media doing
She's a
prank
big
calls. And
gamer, like Twitch.
yeah,
she's a big Twitch gamer also.
Yep, she is. So I'm glad for her. I can't wait to see where it goes. I wouldn't mind her and Chelsea Green going at it for a while.
Mm.
Like you said, Chelsea Green, she made the US title relevant for the women's, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, she made it really relevant. And I can see her stable sticking around for a little while. You know what I mean?
I hope so.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't. This is one of those titles. I wouldn't mind seeing Zelina Vega and Chelsea Green go at it for a while. Have them lose. Have them lose the title like back to back kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like have another match. Have Chelsea Green win it back and then Zelina win it back again and have it come to a head at a pay-per-view, at the upcoming pay-per-view or whenever, or 2 pay-per-views down the road, and then just
It's
end it
PLE
right there.
now. It's PLE.
Yeah. Oh, I keep saying pay-per-view, bro. That's starting to show my damn age, bro.
Yeah,
Starting to show
you
my
are.
age. I know, man. I'm not that old, guys. I promise I'm not that
Just
old.
give me another idea for a meme.
I may be Uncle Status, but I'm not that old. I promise. But yeah, I wouldn't mind them, losing it back and forth, and then it all culminating at a PLE, where Zelina goes over, and then let Zelina go fight somebody else, and then have Chelsea Green have her, go do her own thing after that.
No, for sure.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, no, I think for the meantime, just kind of speaking on like Zelina Vega, she is well deserved. She's definitely put in the work, and at the same time, I think this was a nice reward for her, specifically after WrestleMania, and hope she has a successful title run, for that matter.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of segueing from Zelina Vega, we saw the return of her husband, Aleister Black. So this was like one of the other rumored returns, specifically for a former AEW wrestler. Granted, we also had Rusev on Monday Night Raw. So Aleister Black returning to the SmackDown brand, confronting The Miz. It's interesting because like you almost saw like how this was kind of set up, the way like The Miz had his little I would say locker room interaction with was this Carmelo, talking about how he's gonna go out there and have his moment, and it just reminded me of the time Miz did something similar Monday Night Raw at Crypto Arena after Mania, only to get Matt Riddle return. That was like one of the most upsetting or most underwhelming, I should say, like surprises of the evening. So to kind of see this go down the way it went down, I was just like, again, kind of like erased that whole bad taste in my mouth of post Raw after Mania experience. So Aleister Black, guy looks good. I'm just hoping his injury history doesn't come back to kind of plague him, for the matter. But outside of that, I'm glad to see him back in WWE. He had a not so bad run at AEW. I forgot what his group was called in AEW. Good Lord, this is how much I haven't been watching
what was it
them.
called?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. That's gonna bug me. Not really, But nonetheless, you know, he didn't have a bad run. I'm not gonna say that, but I thought he was heavily underutilized in terms of a title run. The dude's never really got the opportunity to go after major titles in AEW. Um, Especially because I thought he was credible enough to even go after the world title for that matter. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. He's back with WWE, rightfully so, reunited with his wife in the same company. So I look forward to seeing him more.
Is it just me, or does it feel like the Miz is like the gatekeeper for WWE, where like either returning stars or up and
Surprises.
comers, yeah, they go through him first to like make sure that they're good to go, and then they start going on feuds. Like I feel like that's like
Kind
Miz's
of.
job now. I kind of feel like that. Like I feel
Yeah.
like the Miz is like
Yeah.
the gatekeeper for WWE now.
Yeah. I see what you're saying.
But
It's just like,
yeah,
you know, it keeps Miz on TV,
yeah,
you know, outside of him doing his you know, interview segments, I would say. But yeah, like you know, and rightfully so. With the Miz, you know, what more can he really do at this point? You know, at the same time, it's like at least you're not in catering,
yeah,
right?
yeah. No, that's
So
true. That's true. And you know what? Aleister Black is oh, it kind of fell flat, dude. It kind of fell flat.
that crowd, I blame it on the crowd,
Mhm.
just because you know, I was like, I think I texted this to Jay earlier. Like he felt like Rusev's debut felt flat, or his return felt flat, and I
Yeah,
felt like it was the opposite in terms of Alistair. I felt like Alistair's was a lot more flat just because of the crowd's reaction.
yeah. It was the crowd. It was the crowd.
Yeah. So, you know, if anything, I thought that being there specifically for the Raw after Mania and seeing Rusev return live, I know for a fact like that crowd pop. I don't know how
Mhm.
it sound. I can't say I watched the Raw episode on TV yet, but you know, as far as the reaction on TV, I wouldn't. I'm not sure, but we were happy to see Rusev live.
Yes, we were.
We give him a nice
Yes, we were.
pop
Well, if I was there, I would have. I was happy to see him on TV.
for sure. Yeah, man,
Also,
it's bugging me.
Aleister Black's stable was called House of Black.
Thank you for looking that up. I was trying to figure it out on my end,
I know there's
but yeah,
black in
House
there
of Black.
somewhere. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and granted, it's Brody King and Buddy Matthews, right?
Mm-hmm.
Rhea's husband.
Right.
But outside of that, the there was a match between Drew McIntyre and LA Knight. I believe it was the number one contender for the US title, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Drew McIntyre won due to disqualification. Because Damian Priest came in, attacked McIntyre, and it almost feels like this may end up into like a fatal four way of some sort.
That's
Just
exactly how I
because,
feel.
yeah, just the way it kind of panned out, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
but nonetheless, I believe Drew's gonna obviously get his shot against Jacob Fatu, but I think because Priest is still like in the picture, excuse me, he may cost him that title or cost him that match, potentially leading into something going into Backlash. That's how I look at it. What do you think?
Yeah, when I saw Damian Priest attack McIntyre after the match, I was like, okay, well, I guess it's not over. I guess it's
Uh-huh.
not over. And technically, because that's the one the referee saw, because the referee didn't see LA Knight get spiked, right?
Hmm.
So it's like, okay, so I guess Damien's the number one contender, but how it all panned out in the end when Jacob Fatu just came in and freaking did a dive on everybody, I was like, okay, yeah, that there's no way this is just gonna be Drew McIntyre and
Uh-huh.
Jacob Fatu. This I think it's gonna be a fatal four way, or at the very least, Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre, and Jacob Fatu, but with Damian Priest. I mean, sorry, it would be Drew McIntyre, LA Knight, and Jacob Fatu, but with Damian Priest kind of inserting himself into the picture, I'm almost assuming it's going to be. Yeah, I'm almost assuming it's going to be a fatal 4-way. Yeah, and I guess that's probably going to be at the next PLE, not pay-per-view. Bro, you got me messed up, bro. You got me messed up. Make me feel old over here.
We're not paying for these anymore.
I know. Yeah, I know.
They're included. They're included into the streaming service.
I know. I can't break the habit of saying pay-per-view.
I know. It's been the term for like how many years now?
Yes. But anyway, I think probably regardless of if it's going to be a triple threat or a fatal 4-way, I think Jacob probably is going to retain. I think Drew McIntyre. Yeah. I think Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest are going to end up like screwing themselves over during the match, and their feud's probably going to end up continuing after this. They're probably going to be the reason that Jacob retains.
Yeah, I'll tell you this. So I can see, you know who I see actually taking that title away from Jacob?
Who?
Solo. I see Solo taking it from him.
I can see that.
So I feel like eventually what's going to happen is there's going to be that build, right? They build this feud going into SummerSlam. I think even Jay called it. I think Jay was the one that said that their feud would carry to SummerSlam eventually. Mm-hmm. So we're already kind of seeing it. We've been kind of seeing this, right? Like a little bit of that Solo and Jacob dynamic. You know, right now Solo seems to be in Jacob's good graces, but all this talk about how he's the one that, pretty much is the reason why Jacob is the US champion. It's only gonna go so far where Jacob's gonna be like, you know what? Get in where you fit in. Right?
Or instead of Solo taking the title off of him, what if they have a match at SummerSlam and the return of Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, or at the very least Tonga Loa, and the Bloodline 2.0 kicks out Solo. Jacob retains. I think that would be a good one.
You think they would actually jump ship from Solo to Jacob?
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised, especially because you could see with what was that? Was that like last week's SmackDown or something where like they had that little interaction and then Tama, no, it cannot be last week.
Well, Tama got taken out, right before Mania.
So it had to be like 2 weeks ago or something like that, where they like I think Solo was talking to Jacob, and then when he left, Tama was leaving with him, and I don't know. Yeah, I think they would. I'll be honest. I think they would.
The only reason why I don't think that's going to happen, and respectfully here, just because I honestly think Jacob's about to get over as a babyface, and I can't see Tama and Tonga being part of a group with Jacob as baby faces. I see that. I see them more so staying heels with Solo, and it'd be more interesting to see, in my opinion, to see them continue that Bloodline 2.0 faction with Solo, and having Jacob kind of chase Solo for that title.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I'll be honest. I wouldn't be mad at that.
And he'll be over. He'll be over as a babyface at that point.
I wouldn't be mad at that at all.
So yeah. But outside of that, the main event of SmackDown, and like I'll lead in with this, the one match, if there was going to be a tag team match that needed to be at WrestleMania, I'm sorry WWE, you kind of fumbled this one.
Fumbled it, bro. Fumbled is a nice way of putting it, dude.
They basically handed it off to the opposite team here and just gave away that turnover, right? But nonetheless, this was Mania-esque caliber action here. WWE Tag Team Championships for the SmackDown brand. Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford versus Motor City Machine Guns, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin, and DIY, Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa in a TLC match for the Tag Team Championship. This match was fucking nuts, and it lived up to any type of TLC that has ever existed, in my opinion. Like, they showed out. Here's another example, right? Taking lemons, making good old lemonade, right?
Yep.
These three, hands down, one of the best matches I've seen so far this year. Definitely the best tag team match I've seen all year, especially in the main roster. But there was some crazy spots, and Lord knows, I want to say, like, if WWE doesn't look at this match and tell themselves moving forward in terms of how they can elevate the tag team division and really make it noticeable at WrestleMania, they need to look at this match and remind themselves, who should be on the WrestleMania card. Whatever, it doesn't have to necessarily be these names, but if any team can put out a match like these three teams could, they're very deserving to be on WrestleMania. That's my opinion.
Yep, dude. You know what? 100% that these guys deserved to be on WrestleMania. This, like I said, fumbled is a nice way to put it. They done effed up, bro. They done effed up AA Ron. You guys put the wrong tag team match on WrestleMania.
Yeah.
This was such a good match, dude.
And
Spots galore.
Yeah, it's like no knock on New Day and War Raiders. It's just,
no.
There was nothing of any, like, I guess, build the way it's compared to this match or these three tag teams had in the past few weeks, right? And I know we're kind of speaking for Jay here because Jay's not here, but Jay's also expressed it continuously how this match should have been in the place of the New Day War Raiders match, if anything. Rightfully so. I was at SmackDown, the SmackDown episode before WrestleMania, and thinking that match was going to be announced for WrestleMania weekend would have got me so hyped up. But instead, to hear Aldis say next week on SmackDown, clearly the crowd just booed.
Yeah, the crowd wasn't a fan.
We were not a fan of that decision. But nonetheless, it doesn't take away the fact that it was an awesome match, and that one spot, kind of like a homage to, Edge doing that spear midair on Jeff Hardy, or Dawkins did on Ciampa. That was insane. That was an insane spot. But nonetheless, the ring chemistry between these three teams has clearly shown how well they work together. I'm glad to see Street Profits, like in terms of like how hot they are as a tag team right now, is again kind of like indication of how well they work as a tag team. Although I feel like they are capable of being individual superstars, individual single stars as well. Dawkins is just kind of one of those guys. He's just like he's a big boy, but he can do some stuff. Like up in the
brother can move, bro. Brother
he can move. He can move. He's a beast in his own right. And and then Montez is just
is Montez, bro.
He's a freaking athletic freak. He's just a freak of nature in terms of athleticism. Him and his and his wife Bianca.
Bro, their kids are gonna be so lucky. Dude.
Seriously.
They're gonna inherit some crazy genes.
Yep. And and again, like the other tag teams, DIY, kudos to them. Like they've been a very good tag team. Especially from NXT, and then Motor City Machine Guns. Can't say anything less about them. Those guys are well established veterans. Inside and outside of WWE, the success they've had in their career. But yeah, it's a shame.
Only thing that could have made this match better was if Pretty Deadly was in it. and they made it a 4-way, bro. That would have been the only way they could have made this better. I think Pretty Deadly would have been pretty good in this match too.
And even more, I would have been like, okay, that needs to just be at Mania for that matter.
Right. I mean, I think I think WWE already knew that the fans are pissed off that this was on SmackDown and not Mania. They didn't want to add one more team and just totally piss everybody off. But yeah, this should have been on WrestleMania. This was such a good match, dude. I really enjoyed this one. So many spots. Yeah. It was WrestleMania-esque. Like, they should have been on there.
Yeah, for sure. Damn, Montez and that prosthetic leg, that was so good.
That was hilarious.
That was so good. Like, that wasn't planned, but it wasn't. He acted promptly, and I was like, man, really nice spot there.
Bro, it was so funny because when I was watching that match, I was washing dishes, so I had my tablet set up and I was watching the match, washing dishes, and I had my headphones in. And all I could hear is, "Oh my god!" They're yelling and everybody's cheering, and I look up and I just see the guy holding up the prosthetic leg. I was like, "Oh, what did I miss?" I had to go back, and that was hilarious.
Oh man, yeah. Nonetheless, man, it was a great weekend of Mania itself, and obviously all the events surrounding it. WWE World, SmackDown before Mania, Raw after Mania, NXT Stand and Deliver. Gosh, like it was just jam packed, and now we kind of like take it down a notch. Everything kind of settles down a bit again. Like kind of resetting after like the whole peak Mania season, going into basically a new season, right? A fresh, kind of like fresh beginning again, right? Mm-hmm. We work our way towards the next WrestleMania, which happens to be in New Orleans next year. So outside of that, my friend, great episode.
Awesome.
Yep. Good chatter. And for our viewers, please continue to tune in. We definitely appreciate you guys. Continue to follow us on our social media platforms. We see you guys. A lot of you guys dropping comments. Loving the memes. Appreciate that. Show us the love. But then again, continue to subscribe, hit the likes, and listen to us. YouTube, on Spotify as well. Otherwise, we out.